Hi, what's up? I'm your host, Dejanera King, also known as the Ghetto Architect. Yeah, it's me. I'm making this video because when I was interested in pursuing architecture, I didn't know two licks about architecture. I just know I wanted to design stuff. I did not know who I was going to become when I made that decision. This video is for you. If you're looking to study architecture, you're wondering what's required to get into architecture school, you're curious about things that you need to know, or you just want to prepare yourself before you go to college, I am going to be the person I wish I had for you. Okay, you're welcome. Here are 5 things that I wish I knew before I decided to pursue architecture in school. Number 1 on my list is to know your program, research your program. I say that because I was really interested in getting in school and getting out of school. And architecture, I learned not only was it not a 4-year degree, but it could be 5 to 8 years depending on the program that I chose. So I blessedly went to a 5-year degree architecture program where ultimately I went to school for 4 years, and within that same program, my last year was my thesis year, where I kind of got into the midst of what my niche is going to be, or what my true passion behind design is. Right, the reason I say research or architecture programs is because they're not all the same. There's a four year where you go to school for 4 years, you actually graduate, and then you go back to get a bachelor of science for 2 to 3 years, or a master of science in architecture for 2 to 3 years. So it's important for you to look at the curriculum. And I say this because most studio classes, which is the main class where you're going to be designing, model making, drawing, really getting into the arts and crafts and the theory behind design. It's where you're going to put all your time into your work. Those classes require so much time and intention, and you want to really enjoy your architecture, your college experience, right? You don't want to just feel like it's just a job that you have to do just to get by. You want to savor these moments. So research your classes, research your professors, the curriculum. Go to Rate My Professor. You're welcome. Okay, moving on. Number 2, portfolio. I fortunately, because I transferred into my architecture program and I started from the bottom, I didn't have to have a portfolio. Some people did. My architecture program had a summer program where it was like an introductory course into becoming an architecture major the summer before I started. And what that required was it was a 3-week program where we went into school every day for a certain amount of time, and we did all these kind of like a trailer. We did a trailer for architecture. So we designed cool things. We got to know some of the professors, some of the architecture programs, social organizations. So research your school, because you just might need a portfolio, and that was the reason why I didn't go to some other colleges. So moving on, number 3 is understanding your curriculum, and we kind of touched on that in number 1, but I want to be a little bit more intentional. When I say understand your curriculum, figure out what your schedule is going to be ahead of time. If you can figure out what your classes are going to look like for the next 5 years, assuming that you get into the classes that you want, every single class with every single professor that you want at the time that you want it, it's always best to be prepared. Obviously, life happens, things happen, but research that to see what is in alignment with your day-to-day, right? The reason I didn't pursue sports in college is because between juggling working a full-time job and also studying architecture full-time, I barely had time to be a traditional college student and party, let alone just have time to do nothing, or even do sports. I ran track, and I also was a cheerleader in high school, and I really wanted to do one of the two while I was in college, but I knew that architecture was, between school, work, and family and friends, it was not going to happen. So I made a choice. You're going to have to make a choice. Time management is so important, especially in architecture, because a lot of the things that architect majors do require longevity, require long hours, lots of studying, memorization, trial and error, model making. Sometimes you got to build like 8 models just to get to the 9th, and that 9th one is the winner, while the other 8 are trash. It's just like dating. That's neither here nor there. So earlier in number 1, I spoke about, the length of your program. So this is why accreditation matters. I would have loved to go to Spelman or Howard or any HBCU that had Architecture Tuskegee. The reason I say this is because you need to make sure your architecture program is accredited. So if you want to be a licensed architect, right? And I say licensed because after, I don't know if anyone told you, but after you get your degree in school, you also have to get licensed. And licensure, that's another video for another day, but licensure, and this is why I call myself Doctor of Living Spaces, because when you're studying to become a doctor, you have to go to school, then you have to do residency. This is residency for architecture, right? Licensure is residency for architecture. This is why it's so important for your program to be accredited. Your school needs to be accredited by the National Architecture Accreditation Board, NAAB. It's important that your school of choice is recognized by the NAB standard. The reason that this is so important, as I said earlier, I went to a 5-year degree program, so I didn't have to go back to school to do another 3 years after I got a 4-year degree. Lastly, this also depends on your college choice, is your portfolio. If you can, while you're in high school, while you're in grade school, try to create a portfolio to market your creative skills, right? I say this for multiple reasons. One, it'll boost your confidence and creativity and just knowing that yourself has the abilities to get funky with a pen or pencil, paintbrush, or any type of visual arts, whatever that may be. Because in design, your craft is your oyster. You don't always have to follow the rules. If your professor is telling you to make a model, make a model. It doesn't have to be like everyone else's. It could be however you envision design. Architecture is intimidating because of the demanding workload. So it is really important for you to have realistic expectations and just prepare yourself mentally. So these are my 5 things I wish someone would have told me when I was deciding or making the decision to pursue architecture in school. That would have better prepared me. So quick recap: portfolio is key, research your program, accreditation matters, realistic expectations. Understand the time and commitment required to get this degree. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Thank you for tuning in to The Ghetto Architect, your favorite ghetto girl. And if you guys ever want to know why I call myself the Ghetto Architect, I would be happy to tell you, share my own personal experience in college. We have so much to talk about, but I'm so excited for this series. And if you're liking the content, enjoying the content, if this helped you in any way, let me know. I am not one of those weirdos who do not respond to messages. I will say I don't respond fast, but I do respond. I don't care if it's just like 3 people telling me I'm doing great and inspiring them, or this really helped them make a decision. But let me know. Say something. Okay? Don't say I ain't never tell you nothing. Okay? Tune in. Okay? Get on your Zoom. Get on your YouTube. Get on your Spotify. Get on your YouTube Shorts and tune into The Ghetto Architect. Period.